Today I'm going to be reviewing Exploding Topics and going over what this platform is useful for, my general thoughts and opinions on the platform, as well as give an overview of the feature set available on the Exploding Topics platform when you pay for a subscription. If you're not familiar with me, my name is Adrian Navarre. I'm the founder of Ticker Trends. Ticker Trends is a very useful data platform for discovering actionable opportunities through things like exploding trends and exploding ideas. So I'm very confident if you're interested in what is being offered at Exploding Topics, you'd also really benefit from checking out our platform Exploding Trends, which is slightly more professional focused than Exploding Topics. But I guarantee if you're looking for actionable ideas, whether it be in financial markets, private market research, or public market research, then our platform is really the place to be. But without further ado, I'll go into Exploding Topics and some of the features that are available on this platform. When you first log into the Exploding Topics platform, you are presented with the trend tracking dashboard. This is really a place where you can add and collect different trends which you have manually sorted and or identified and kind of put them into a view which you can continuously track or sort over time. Now, the pros to this page are that you are able to kind of track whatever custom trends you want to view, but the downside would be is that these are kind of entirely customly aggregated, meaning I have to add these trends manually, and there's no element of kind of like discovery tool or automated addition of trends to this trend tracking tool. But I do think it is useful maybe if you're trying to continuously track competitors or something to that extent, and then have them kind of in one unified view, which you can save over time. Next is the trends database, and this is a little bit more on the discovery side of looking for new ideas within all of the values that are being tracked on Exploding Topics. And I'll go into a little bit more of what you can expect from this trends database, because although there are many different categories, I think there is kind of some underlying commonalities that you'll start to find when you look at all of these different categories, even if the different ones kind of have some similar characteristics to them. So when I click on something like retail, I'll see all of these like maybe consumer brand names, but something that I'll say Exploding Topics tends to focus on is I do think that Exploding Topics in general, both on the trends database section and in the broader platform, focuses more on niche or startup opportunities. So these would be things that, I mean, you will see some larger things mixed into it, but then you'll see a lot of these things like, I guess, Miniso Blind Box is a little bit higher volume, Paddle Balls is a little bit higher volume, but then this Ride Panda, you'll see things that are from very, very small or niche businesses which are exploding, and this can greatly impact how helpful the platform is to you. If you are looking for purely maybe high volume trends, I think that Ticker Trends, my business, can be better for you. But Exploding Topics really is strong at identifying maybe very niche, for example, this BizNext, very niche companies or products or brands, which maybe if you're trying to ideate on like startup ideas, new products to sell, new products to cover or platforms to cover, then I think Exploding Topics has a very strong database of these smaller niche ideas and brands. And I think this is also why they've created this trending startups and trending products categories, which I'd say most of the values in the trends database most likely come from these trending startups and trending products categories, which they curate over time to make sure they contain some of the more niche and new products, which are not necessarily sold by larger companies. So if I go to the trending startups section, you'll see that I have all these different filters and basic information on these startups. And then I view a trend time series value on these different startups. So this is very helpful maybe if I'm trying to do private market research on very specific niche topics. But it might make it a little bit more difficult to kind of contextualize or understand how the different segments of these businesses are performing, or what underlying trends go into these businesses. But when I do click on one of these pages, then it does give me more information like related startups, related trends, which in this case goes over a little bit of what this product may be or what it might do. And then it gives you some other channel information and additional information which might be helpful as a starting point for private company research. What we do at Ticker Trends is we provide far more in-depth information, even on private companies. So being able to track not just like a search trend on how the company is performing, but things like social media performance, web traffic, many other metrics which might be applicable in your research process, instead of just relying on this one kind of search trend metric. Now, there's pros and cons to the views that they have here, the data that's presented to you, is I think they do a really good job of signifying what these trends look like. So it's easy to see that this trend is kind of strong, but it could be hard to decipher more seasonality from this. And also some of their projected values, the forecasted values, I think are not necessarily very useful, just because many times on the Exploding Topics platform, these are trends that are a little bit more niche and new, and don't necessarily have any accurate way to predict the future growth or forecast for how that is going to perform. Another thing is the channel breakdown. While this looks interesting, most often when I'm looking at a lot of the trends on their platform, it doesn't necessarily provide too much information as to why they have these values, or kind of what the context is around these values. For example, like if it has a lot of YouTube interest, then what's going on YouTube related to this startup company? And so that's something that, again, Ticker Trends, my business, focuses on far more than something that's available on Exploding Topics. Next, they have trending products. Trending products is something that is unique, and I think this would be very helpful potentially for sellers maybe on e-commerce platforms or Amazon sellers, Shopify sellers, who are trying to ideate on new, potentially more niche products to sell. Like I said, you're not going to find things on here like Adidas sneakers, most likely, or like very, very high volume, high quantity products. If anything, I think those are kind of potentially sorted out of this list more. I'd say, yeah, over 1 million in revenue, there are only 2 items. So most of the items that you'll discover here will be lower revenue, relatively speaking, products or niche products like medical tape for wrinkles, which might be helpful for those people who are in e-commerce who are trying to come up with new ideas for products to sell, or maybe more emerging products if you're a larger company that's trying to come up with maybe a product that they can put their branding on and sell or create into a larger market. But I would say that this is really where it demonstrates what Exploding Topics focuses on, which is niche trending products, small size products, and startups, again, that are most likely lower volume and are growing into larger businesses. I would say Ticker Trends takes the other side, which is focusing on large businesses and high volume products and kind of identifying the opportunities within those rather than the low volume or niche products, which Exploding Topics really focuses on. They also have this trend analysis tool, which I believe is a newer product that they've offered. I think this is interesting. Essentially, what you can do is you can search for any value here, I assume, and then you'll receive some type of time series information, like a chart of how that thing is performing over time, and then also some related information on that topic. Now, while this is okay, I think the granularity here, again, is a little bit low. In terms of, again, this channel breakdown, I'm not really getting too much information. And then beyond this 5-year information, I feel like there aren't many tools here to help me kind of analyze or understand what this data means. So on Ticker Trends, we focus on that a lot. We focus on giving you the tools to analyze data like search trends and find actionable insights and be able to gauge the performance of the trends better. And also get more context on what's happening within, for example, the channel breakdowns. Then they also have these related terms at the bottom, which might give you more ideas on other terms or keywords that are being searched for in relation to the base keyword that you've searched. while this is interesting for finding direct relationships to what you're searching for, it doesn't necessarily give you any information on, for example, competitors or values that might not directly relate to what you looked for. So when I look for Hoka, maybe I would want to see things like Nike shoes and Adidas shoes, or on cloud shoes, on running shoes. But Exploding Topics doesn't really focus on that type of information. It would be more direct relationships rather than indirect or second order relationships like Ticker Trends focuses on, where on Ticker Trends, if I search for some form of running shoes, I will get kind of competing running shoes and other brands and products in that sector that might relate to it, even if it doesn't contain that keyword. So it really depends on the approach that you're looking for when looking at this data. One section that I do think is really interesting is the Meta Trends section. This is more of their sector-based discovery tool, where basically they're saying, based on these sectors, what are kind of the strongest pre-categorized ideas that come from these different sectors. And then you can kind of dive into the sectors and see like a breakdown of the different trends that relate to that sector, and see how they're performing. I think this is really powerful for kind of getting ideas of a broader, like larger trend, and then connecting it to smaller trends that relate to it. I do think this is a really cool visual, and especially if you're someone who maybe wants to keep up with a little bit larger trends that might impact more things, then I do think that their Meta Trends section is one of the strongest sections for this. In the case of Ticker Trends, how we handle this is we provide actual time series data on how the overall sector is performing. So I think that's the one thing that this product lacks, which is I see that Focus Supplements is doing well, and then I can maybe see some things that relate to Focus Supplements and then see the time series data for that. But I get no view on how Focus Supplements are doing like overall, right? How is that overall sector, that overall industry growing, and not just the subcomponents, like the specific products that relate to that industry. So on Ticker Trends, in our sector discovery page, we provide an actual time series value for how the overall sector is performing, and then you can dive into the sub terms and keywords like Exploding Topics to discover what values relate to that sector. But nonetheless, I do think that the Meta Trends section, at least for me, is one of my favorite portions of the Exploding Topics platform. Now, beyond that, the reports library, I believe, is available on the business plan of Exploding Topics, and that brings me to the pricing of Exploding Topics. Exploding Topics is available at $39 a month, $100 a month, or $249 a month, which is relatively pricey. However, I think for someone who is using this for a more business-oriented use case, these prices do make sense. In the case of Ticker Trends, our plans start at kind of in the middle of entrepreneur and investor. Our core tier is just about $80 a month. So it is a little bit more affordable than most of the plans available on Exploding Topics. And then beyond that, like I mentioned before, we offer an enterprise tool, which is more for professional or business use cases, which I would say goes far above what Exploding Topics offers. And that on our side is priced at a higher price, which is available if you contact us. Then we can kind of work out a plan and structure that works for you to give you the tools and capabilities that you need to ingest data and find trends and ideas or topics which could help grow your business or find investment opportunities if you're a public market investor or private market investor. But overall, I think the Exploding Topics platform is extremely strong for some of its niche use cases, which is trending startups, trending products, if you're working in e-commerce or potentially private market investments or trying to come up with new entrepreneurial ideas yourself. I think this is really where it's strong. In terms of its weaknesses, I think the weaknesses of the platform are going to be for analyzing those very high volume trends. If you're trying to understand how your competitors, if you're a big box performance brand or clothing brand and you're trying to understand how your competitors are performing, I think that Exploding Topics will likely lack in terms of features for you to be able to discover other high volume competitors' performance. Now, if you're trying to find maybe a startup that's just launching and seeing how those clothing products are performing, then I think Exploding Topics is the right platform for you. Anyways, thank you all so much for watching. I hope that was helpful in understanding the Exploding Topics platform and what's available through their paid subscriptions. Of course, if you have any questions, feel free to ask them in the comments and I'll get back to you about Exploding Topics or about Ticker Trends if you're interested in any of our products as well. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.